Okay, everybody, hello and welcome to all the Glover U family. Everybody out there who has tuned in to see some of my interview series. I wanted to get some information out to you guys again. I'm actually here with a fantastic agent, one of my one-on-one clients, Randi Brandt. And Randi, the reason that I wanted to kind of get you out here, I wanted to introduce you a little bit to the Glover U audience right now, is the fact that we have started the Buyer Mastery Series, right? So there's been a lot of focus on winning with buyers. And obviously, a lot of us here in the Midwest are starting to come into the spring market where we're seeing that thaw. And we know regionally that we typically start to see a lot more activity coming up here in the spring. We see a lot more going on as that weather breaks. And we also know that it's been tougher than ever right now in order to get buyer offers accepted. So I'm talking to agents out there in the world that are really winning at a high level with buyers. Randi, you are one of those people who is just killing it on the buy side, putting a ton of really great energy and effort into your buyers, helping them find their dream homes. I want you to tell me a little bit before we get started too. Randi, tell me a little bit about your marketplace and a little bit about what that market looks like. A, where do you serve? And B, what are some of the conditions as far as inventory and that stuff goes in your market?
Sure. So hello, everyone. I service all of Southeast Michigan. So basically Lansing all the way down almost to the Ohio border. I like a nice wide variety. Most of that is because I've grown up in different areas and now I live in a very different area from where I grew up.
Okay.
And as with most, we have a shortage of inventory. This was a record February in the lack of homes that were coming on the market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, generally we see a lot of things getting ready at the new year. We all get lots of listings and clients coming on. So especially when we do those callings on January 1, and we prepare to see a lot of homes coming on the market in February. And we didn't really get that this year. Now that we're working into March, it's coming in and we are getting a lot more, but there's still a need and a shortage for homes. So
absolutely,
it's been a struggle.
We're seeing that same thing, right? And I think across the country, we're seeing that same exact thing everywhere. We're seeing that need for homes. We're seeing that shortage, and we're seeing a lot of competition. And that's the thing I think that's really drawn the attention to people right now is the amount of competition on the buy side. So when it comes to that, a lot of the agents like you that I'm talking to, Randi, a lot of them are winning because of them spending extra time in the qualification process. So when you're meeting with buyers, tell me a little bit about what your qualification process looks like. Who gets to work with you and who doesn't get to work with you when it comes to buyers?
Sure. And this is something that I had to learn. This is not something I did when I first started in real estate. I'm 5 years in, and I've only started this really when the market became as competitive as it is right now. And when I meet with the clients, whether most of my business are referrals from either lending partners, past clients, things like that, I sit down with them and really am just completely honest in the fact that with the current market, they have to be willing to go a little bit above and beyond to get that dream home, to get them into investing into their future, in that they're not wasting money on rentals any longer and they're going to buy that home, even if it might be a few dollars above what they thought they wanted to spend.
Wow.
When you break it down, it's not a huge investment, a change, realistically.
And that's a great point. And I think that's a conversation that some agents, especially our newer agents out there, might struggle with. And I know I am in this conversation a lot with the buyers that we're dealing with just the same. And I want to say, Randi, and I think you'll find this to be true, there's a little bit of an education process that seems to go in, especially as we talk about the owner-occupant buyer, right? There's an education process of sometimes what they think the market is versus what the market is. How do you handle that when you're having to explain to them that they're going to have to write not just sometimes over full price, but a lot over full price in order to win a home that they really care about, that they really want to be in? What does that look like in your conversations typically?
So a lot of times it's, when we're dealing with residential homeowners, there's an emotion involved to it, whether they're selling or when they're buying. It's, do you see yourself starting a family here? Do you see yourself raising your children here? And you have to show the vision without being able to actually have them live it at that moment.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it is a hard reality of, I like it, but I don't think I can see myself living here. Or, oh my gosh, Randy, we have to have it. What do you need to do in order for us to get this home? And that's where the conversation goes into, all right, well, a lot of our realtors here are being smart and they're pricing properties competitively. So if we're at the top end of that price point, just know we're going above and beyond it in order to even compete within what's happening. So if you have a price point of you want to cap it at 300, that's your comfort level. I understand that. For what you want, we're going to go a bit above to make sure we get you into that dream home that you can start your family in and live there for a number of years until you reach out to me and tell me you're ready to move up.
That makes perfect sense. So it sounds like what I hear you saying, and I'm hearing this from a lot of our top agents across the country that are winning with buyers right now. And if what I hear you saying is correct, we're telling and setting the expectation for our buyers that it's not a matter of if we're going to go over full price, but how much over full price we're going to go in order to win that bid. Now, when you get in that situation, what are a few of the ways that you're using, Randy, to create urgency with the buyer and get them to act? And do you ever have those times when your buyers are maybe a little fearful, maybe a little slow to jump in? And how do you handle that when you know it's the right house for them and you see that they are showing that buying sign, you know that this is going to be a good fit? How do we cross that bridge typically?
Mhm. So right now is a perfect example. All of my residential buyers are first timers, which is really exciting. It's fun for me. I enjoy those. And it is a fear because when they have that number in their minds, just even before they've spoken to their lender, they don't want to go above this price point. They're very hard stuck on that. So we really have to learn how to break it down to where it's not such a scary number. When I do my buyers consultations, I tell them foremost, I don't care what your lender has approved you for. I want to know what your monthly comfort is, especially in the areas that I service. I could be looking at a $200,000 home in two different municipalities, and their monthly payment will be extremely different just based on taxes.
Yes.
So that's where we go, and we have to adjust that a little bit more. So when we do have that conversation of, okay, you love this home, I know it's at the top of what you wanted and what your comfort was. However, if we go above it to make it competitive, lock us into this property so you can build your family in it. When you break it down, it's really only changing your monthly payment a few dollars. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it make sense to buy this home, invest in your future, and get this done today? And
Absolutely.
Eight out of 10 times, I've gotten them to say yes, and we do rewrite the offers on it.
I want to take a minute and I want to hop back into what you said, because you mentioned something that I keyed in. I wrote it down kind of as you said it right here. And this is something that I want to reach out, and I want all the agents that are watching, especially the newer agents, I want you guys to pay attention to this, because this is the second time that I've spoken to a top buyer's agent out there in the nation, and they've brought this up. And Randy, I'm struggling amongst a lot of agents, especially the younger, newer agents, to get them to adopt this. One of the things that you mentioned in here is during your buyer consultation. Guys, I want you guys to understand, whereas some agents see the buyer consultation as this hurdle, this is a tool. This is a tool for our qualification. This is a tool for our retention with buyers. This is a tool to help us deliver some of the best service. And Randy, I know I'm kind of sticking on this because this is something that I struggle to get agents to adopt. But here you are using this effectively. Tell me a little bit about what your buyer consultation looks like, and why do you do it as much as you do it? What benefit do you see, and what benefit do your clients typically see from that buyer consultation?
Mm-hmm. So especially, in any market, this one in particular, if you're getting cold leads, we'll say, you want to make sure that it's going to be a value add to your business. There's nothing worse than working with a client, showing them homes, meeting them on the spot, and then backtracking and realizing that they don't qualify. And again, as licensed realtors, we need to have that qualification before we show those homes. That is part of our contract and our code. So sitting down, it really is a one-on-one education. Partially, it's making sure that we're going to work together because this is a relationship we're building, and that they understand every aspect of the process. People don't know what they're not taught. So, there's clients who they hear things on the radio, on social media, whatever, about how, you can have zero down. Well, yes, for certain areas. So, we've had people come and say, well, I want to buy a house. Okay, great. And then all of a sudden, when you put out, what it actually takes to purchase a home, then they kind of go, oh, well, wait a minute, I don't have that. Now there are programs. I mean, I just closed a house 3 days ago with a client. She was a first-time home buyer, single mom, and we did a MIshka loan in this market, and it closed in 28 days.
For those of you who don't know, I want to just take you for 1 second. For those of you out there who don't know, in the state of Michigan, a MIshka loan is a government assistance program. It's a version of an FHA program that allows a grant from the state of Michigan to cover the cost of that buyer. So when we're talking about a MIshka loan, a lot of times these buyers are moving in anywhere from $0 to as low as $2,000 total out of pocket. So we're looking at getting the seller to cover typically a portion of this cost, and then looking at a grant from the state of Michigan as well. So the reason I want to stress this, you guys, is because this is not the ideal loan always for a seller. A seller is going through an FHA inspection. A seller is taking a longer time. So you really got to work in order to get a loan like this. And so I want to emphasize that because it's not easy, I would venture to say, in a lot of our markets to get any assistance from a seller or get them to accept anything out of our norm. So it's huge in our market now to be getting MIshka loans accepted. And I want to just take a moment and point that out, Randi, because it's huge. It's really important. Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I get excited.
No, you're fine. No, it's great because it is. This was a referral client from a lender partner. And when he told me she's a MIshka buyer, as most realtors would in this market, I was like, okay,
reluctant maybe,
but I like a challenge. So challenge accepted, let's get this done. And it's twofold. It's making sure that she understood how the MIshka program worked, in that it is FHA. So we do have an FHA appraisal. Walking through the homes and saying, just so you know, X, Y, and Z is what I'm seeing already that we're probably going to have to cover in order to get the seller to even look at our offer.
Yes.
And that's what ended up happening. We walked through a home. We were the first one, and we loved it. There was two items that I knew that were going to have to be addressed. One of which was exterior with cement. It's winter in Michigan right now, so it is escrowed. We got it handled. But we were able to write a very strong offer. We did go above asking on it. And we told them that we would cover any and all costs up to a certain amount. And we beat out a conventional and a cash offer on that.
Wow. So let's look at the factors there. So what do we really talk about in this in order to win? When Randi knew she's at a disadvantage, she's going to go in number one. And we're talking about the speed in which she gets in there. She knows how important it is to act quickly. Number two, we're talking about getting great communication in there. We're in with the listing agent. We're addressing the issues right out of the gate. We're fully prepared. And number three, and obviously probably one of the most important things, we came in strong when we know we need to win that bid. And guys out there, I want you to understand a lot of this comes into how well Randi is setting the expectations for the buyer. So when we have a short window of action, the buyer is taking the necessary steps in order to put themselves in the best position and get selected versus those other offers compared to the competition who might be nickel and diming or looking to, push on occupancy or one of these things. So huge piece of it right there. I think that's fantastic. That's really, really cool. Mm-hmm. Randi, one other thing I want to touch base on with you is I want to touch base on your business is a little bit unique compared to some people because you have a strong, growing residential business, and yet you also have a lot of success with commercial real estate. And I don't mean Randy's out there selling strip malls. A lot of your commercial stuff, Randy, has been multifamily, and it's been investors, small apartments, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. Talk to me a little bit about winning in that space, and how is it different than when you're dealing with your typical first-time buyer or move-up buyer, owner-occupants?
Yep. So when you're handling commercial and investment real estate, which is about 60% of my business as of last year, I am adjusting it. I want more of a 50-50 split. And it's with residential, it's very emotionally attachment.
Yeah.
And they're invested in the home. It's their family thing. When you're dealing with the investment in the commercial side, it's all about the numbers. This is a business. If it doesn't make sense, it's not happening. And so it is a very different mindset you have to switch on and off. You also need to, same thing with your buyers. Each investor is different in what their business model looks like. So having that expectation at the front end of, and I will absolutely on the very first moment say, what is your business model? What are you looking for? Because I could have a really good opportunity, but if it doesn't fit their business model, there's no point in wasting their time, because now all they see is an incompetent realtor just trying to make a dollar.
Sure.
That's the consultation on that end with those clients are very different, because it is such a wide variety. And it wasn't something I went out and looked for. It was the investment and commercial side kind of fell into my lap, and I've been able to work really hard at it, and it's been quite successful for me.
It really has been, Randy. You've done great with it. And one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about, and one of the main reasons that I wanted to do this interview with you today, is some of the makeup of your business, right? And one of the things about your business that's always kind of impressed me, and I think this is so awesome. So much of your business is referral based. And I don't mean that Randy's got 8 billion friends and everybody's sending their friends and family to her. A lot of your referrals really come from you putting contribution in as far as your community of realtors, contribution in as far as your actual communities themselves with some of the charity work and some of the donations and stuff. Tell me a little bit about what it's been like for you to build your business that way. And one of the things that I want to point out to the people who are watching us today, one of the things about Randi that really struck me is she went out, and you really, Randi, you went and did so much work. You put all this effort in to build these relationships, and I'm seeing a lot of them really starting to pay off for you, which is one of the reasons I wanted to touch on this subject. And so many people, one of the things that I struggle with, and especially with young people, is it seems like it's harder to get people to want to put the work in first to then look for that payoff. But I use you as an example when I talk to people about it, because this has been such an unbelievable foundation of your business. And beyond just your business, you've done a lot of good for people out there. So I want to touch a little bit on how you built that. What are the things you lean into? What got you into really diving into your community of realtors as well as your local community?
So again, we're building a business, a sustaining business is the goal. And so when we focus on the long term and the longevity, that was where I realized I needed to reach out and broaden my horizon of those around me and who are doing things that I want to be doing. Mm-hmm. So as with most, I'm sure you all pay your local and state dues and national dues every year. And for 3 years, I didn't do anything with it. I didn't know. I wasn't informed about it. I made the conscious choice to figure out really what it did for me. And that was about 2 years ago. And I am very engaged nationally with my brokerage and the different associations and programs that they provide, but also my local association. I am on the board of directors, and it's because I wanted to know what those who have been in the business for 30 some years have been doing so I can mimic it. There's no point in reinventing the wheel when we've got those we can learn from. So we've been able to just really get out there. I have a passion for not-for-profit, so nonprofit organizations. I used to work for them back before I got into real estate. And I've always said that if if I could have the life I have with my real estate business in nonprofit world, I would probably be there. So I've been able to kind of connect all of my passions into my business, and, just getting your name out there, being engaged, being at, like, again, at the local levels, we have our lunch and learns and, our coffee pop-ups and just different networking events. And after about a year of being active with it is when it started to come to fruition. And when I was writing offers, people, the listing agents saw my name. They knew we had a relationship. We had connected in that aspect. It gave my clients a level up. On the other side is what we had talked about just a few months ago. I was at one of these networking events, and for the first time ever, I had 3 different lenders who were affiliates of my local association give me referrals that day, right there on the spot. Here's 3 qualified buyers that we want you to work for us for.
That's a return on your time, huh?
Absolutely. It was beautiful.
Okay, Randi, I'm going to start to wrap us up here, but before I do, there's something that I do want to ask you, okay? And
Sure.
this has been a tougher market for buyers agents. I don't think that is really any secret out there. But as a lot of agents are in their first few years, and we know a lot of them are failing out of the business, and a lot of new ones are starting to come in, give me 3 things some advice that you would give to those new agents on how to be successful with buyers in our market today and how to grow their buyer business. For you, Randi, what are the top 3 things that you would say to that brand new agent out there, just starting out, trying to build a pipeline and wanting to have your kind of success in their business? Tell me, what would you tell to those agents?
So the first thing is it's not going to happen overnight. As much as we all would love it to, you have to stick with it. You have to be consistent. The other thing is you have to take the time to learn. You're brand new. You are a baby in this industry. There is so much to learn. Even those who've been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years, they're still getting training from those above them. It's a continually educating field that we are in because it's ever evolving. The other one is, like we had mentioned prior, really making sure that those clients you're working with are extremely qualified and understand the market.
So important.
It's imperative right now because like I said, there's nothing worse than getting a residential buyer in love with a home only to find out they really aren't prepared right now to financially make that commitment. So those who aren't in the ability to get in this competitive market, because there's some that just are not able to right now. It doesn't mean we drop them. You find them a short-term rental, you keep involved with them. Some clients are going to need some help with credit repair. You work with a local lender, partnering with these organizations in your area to help them, because now they always know you've got their best interest. So it might not be a buyer right here, right now. However, 6 months down the road, you've now got a next quarter closing coming your way.
Absolutely. We're going to need money then too, right?
Yeah, always.
Well, Randi, thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time with us today. I can't thank you enough for pouring some of this knowledge into the newer buyers agents, or even for those who really want to up their game. So let me tell you, if you're out there watching this today, if you're out there around the country and you've got buyers that are looking to make a move into Southeast Michigan, if you've got buyers that want to move to Southeast Michigan and win their bids and get the houses they want, I want you guys to reach out to Randi. You can find her on Facebook. Randi, where else can they get a hold of you?
So I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I am on my LinkedIn as well. And then you can always go onto my website, which is randibrandt.com.
Absolutely. So if you've got buyers out there and you want to see those buyers win their bids, I want you guys to definitely reach out to Randi, let her know, and she is going to take great care of those buyers and sellers out there. Randi, obviously great on both sides. I thank you so much for your time today. Those of you guys watching out there, I also want to let you guys know that Buyer Mastery started this week, but there is 16 weeks in this course. There is still time to sign up. You will end up getting a recorded copy of the very first lesson, but it's really going to teach you how to apply these things that Randi's been talking about today. The best practices in being able to generate buyers, qualify buyers, and win bids with those buyers. So you're walking away at the end of the year with more deals closed versus the competition. Guys, thank you so much. I'm Coach Nick Bellmore. Randi, thank you for your time today, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Like a boss.